Hello again. The other day I posted a video on this channel in which I suggested, among other things, that the high mortality rate among black women during pregnancy and childbirth might be connected with vitamin D deficiency. There was nothing controversial about this, and I provided links to some academic papers which broadly outlined the hypothesis. Lack of vitamin D is associated with risk of things like preeclampsia and other complications in pregnancy, and may also have deleterious effects upon the fetus. Since a disproportionate number of black people, including women, have low levels of vitamin D due to their skin colour in part and also diet, such hazards are greater for black women than they are white ones. Allow me to pause at this point and make one or two observations. I am sometimes taken to task in the comments here because I fail to provide references for the things I talk about. The idea of references for a brief YouTube video as though it were an article in an academic journal is a bizarre one, but from time to time I do give links. I did so for the video to which I refer, but it was a hopeless enterprise. Those who clamour most loudly for such things were unable to make sense of the sources I provided. They are evidently unable to look at the abstracts and conclusions in such papers to get the gist of them. This didn't really surprise me. One of the most vociferous of those criticising what I was talking about is a man who is currently engaged in producing a weighty document entitled The Use and Juxtaposition of Asian and European Themes in the Work of Caldwainer Smith, Samuel R. Delany and Frederick Pole. I only know this because I had occasion a couple of months ago to talk to Professor Booker of Birkbeck regarding a possible misuse of their plagiarism software by this chap. I'm guessing that somebody obsessed with guitars and Caldwainer Smith might not be the sort of fellow able readily to navigate his way through scientific material. The real objection to the video was, of course, that it suggested a possible biological basis for some real-life matters of life and death. Let me give just two facts and ask viewers to consider if they think these are matters which it might be a good idea to tackle. First, pregnant black women are more likely to die in this country during pregnancy and while giving birth. More likely than white people, that is. Does anybody think that this is an undesirable state of affairs about which we might try to do something? Here is a second fact. Black teenagers are excluded from school in far greater numbers proportionally than white teenagers. Is this an undesirable state of affairs? Is it worth trying to do anything about it? Most of us would, I think, agree that it would indeed be a good thing if we could reduce the number of women who die in pregnancy and also try and arrange things so fewer black school pupils are excluded from school. I discussed one possible factor in these two situations and was promptly accused of racism. Of course I was. The reason is very simple. Whenever a situation is seen in which there are poorer outcomes for black people than the white ones, then two broad sets of causes are often suggested, and these are suggested more in association with political views than anything to do with evidence. One of these views is that everything is social, which means that all the causes are in practice assumed to be caused by racism. The other set of possible explanations is biological. For those who adhere to the ideology of anti-racism, any suggestion that biological processes may be at work leading to disadvantageous outcomes for black people is anathema. It is racist and only a step away from eugenics. In other words, they have an ideology which literally prevents them from even thinking about biological differences between black people and white, even in such an obvious case as skin colour. I'm sure that many viewers will be aware that flour and bread in this country is, by law, fortified with vitamin B. The reason for this is simple. Most people eat bread, including pregnant women. If women do not get enough vitamin B during pregnancy, then there is a slight risk of their baby being born with spina bifida, that is to say, the spinal cord being exposed and partially outside the body. Rather than go around dishing out vitamin pills to pregnant women, it's easier to just ensure that they get enough vitamin B in other ways via their ordinary diet, which is why we fortify bread and flour with vitamin B. Lack of vitamin D in pregnancy can also have ill effects. It can lead to preeclampsia and also cause the baby to have developmental difficulties. Children with attention deficit have been found to be likely to have low levels of vitamin D, and when this is rectified, their behaviour improves. A lot of work has been done in this field, and there is also thought to be a link between childhood IQ and optimum nutrition, including the intake of vitamins. None of this is controversial, and those working with mothers and babies and school children are all well aware of these ideas. Here then is where ideology makes people prefer to see human lives sacrificed rather than deviate from their political views. Those who are vehemently anti-racist and follow sedulously the equalitarian dogma do not think that anything biological, even vitamin deficiencies, can have any effect on the life outcomes of people due to their ethnicity. Suggest to them that Saletti babies are more at risk of rickets because their mothers cover their bodies up too much and so are deficient in vitamin D, and they would look at you as though you've invited them to a meeting of the Ku Klux Klan or National Front. Draw attention to the fact that because of both skin colour and diet, black people in Britain have very low levels of vitamin D, and that this might be connected with a number of undesirable outcomes which we see, and they stick their fingers in their ears until you stop talking. Their ideology is so precious to them that they would literally rather see black women die during pregnancy than consider that here might be a simple and cheap way of saving their lives. I find this a bizarre state of affairs. I have this time provided no references, because frankly I doubt the ability of those who come here to criticise what I say to follow sensibly the evidence, even if I provide it. For anybody interested in this topic, they need only Google vitamin D and IQ, vitamin D developmental problems, vitamin D and ADHD, vitamin D black people, vitamin D preeclampsia, and so on. They will soon be able to see the evidence for themselves.